Hi class, today we're looking at Mastering Presentation, Microsoft PowerPoint Video 5 in this series. We want to take a brief recap of what we did in the previous session. Notice we had looked at how we're able to format pictures by making them larger or smaller to allow them to fit better into our presentation. We looked at how we're able to format the font, allowing us to change the size and style of fonts. We were able to insert header and footer, although some of you had mentioned to me that on the mobile version you weren't able to do that. But I checked on my phone as well and I wasn't able to do that either. What I want to encourage you guys to do is still take a look at the video, go over the parts so that for next semester you'll be prepared to insert this part of your presentation even without having the physical practice at home. We were able also to insert tables, insert charts to give our document some visual appeal. We were able to change the themes from the gallery options that we have, and we were also able to insert speaker notes into our document. Lastly, what we had taken a look at was how we're able to format the slide using Slide Master. I gave you guys an activity on Thursday which allowed you to update and format existing presentation, and I wanted you guys to use the presentation that you guys had made in the class before the last one. So in this particular example, it said to open DTV version 1, and we want to run through this exercise right now. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to be going into my reading view on this slide, splitting the screen, and then I am going to be opening a new. Okay, so here I have both documents open on my screen. I have, like I said, DTV version 1 that you guys had created last class, and I also have my presentation so we can follow the instructions as we go along. Now, having DTV version 1 open, next we wanted to format the picture that was on slide 2 by selecting the image. So I'm going to move down to slide number 2, select the image that I have there, and we want to format it. All right? Now you're going to move over to the Format tab as the instruction says, and you're next going to select a style from the Quick Styles tool. So I'm going to click on Quick Styles, and I'm going to choose any style that I find appropriate for my image. All right? After selecting the style that you want, the next instruction said was to add a title to that particular slide. Now here I was emphasizing the mestizo dress, so I'm going to put dress, all right, as my title for this particular slide. It next says to format the font by changing the font type and size to a design of your liking. So again, I'm going to highlight the text that I want to change. I'm then going to go and just pick a particular font style and then change also the font size. All right. Next is said to insert a footer with your name and class that will appear on all slides. Again, some of you weren't able to do this because you were using the Android versions on your phones or on your tablets, but let's see how we were supposed to have done this. We were supposed to have gone to the Insert tab, and from the Insert tab, you're supposed to be clicking on Header and Footer. Once you've clicked on Header and Footer, you're then going to go down to the Footer section, and we're going to insert the information that we want, which was supposed to have been our names, followed by the class. I'm going to put 3 technical here. All right, and it said that I wanted to appear on all slides, so you're going to have to select apply to all. If you notice when you did that, we were able to now see our name and class appearing at the bottom area of our slides. Next, we wanted to create a new slide that was called Demographics of Belize, and we wanted to insert different cultures that are in Belize and the percentages that they exist in Belize. So we're going to go down to the slide pane, new slide, and we're then going to add the title, which is Demographics of Belize. Now we want to insert the table. This could have been done in 2 ways. You're already on the Insert tab. You click on Table tool and then go to Insert Table. Or you could have right there in the text box that you have there, we are going to click on the Table tool and then you can specify. Now to insert a table like this, you would have needed 2 columns and 11 rows because of the number of cultures that you have represented there. All right. And then you could have added a chart title. For instance, my chart title was the segment, was supposed to be cultures and we also have percentages. And we could have then inserted the data. For instance, we have Miss Pisa, 52.9%. And you can go ahead populating the information as follows. Now, I don't want to be wasting a lot of time on that, so I have already done that, created the particular table and inserted the data. So I'm just going to paste that into my slide now. Alright, I had to take a little break just now. Let's get back to the task. So we're able to insert chart based on the content that is above. And next on this slide, create a speaker note that will remind you to say, according to the Statistical Institute of Belize, the current population stands at that amount. So we want to do that. I'm going to go into my slide view so I don't have to type that over. And then where it has notes, so click to add notes, and then going to click in that section, and then I will be typing all the information if I didn't already have it typed. All right, and next simply you click save to save your presentation. So that was a task I had you guys do for the last class. Now let's look at some of the things that we can do for our class today. Now we have several things that we want to look at. For example, how to add slide transitions, how to add animations. We want to look at the different views within our document. So let's get into that right now. We're looking at the first item, which is a slide transition. And to add a transition, we're going to go to the transition ribbon and select the desired transition from the toolbar. Now I don't want to be using this presentation because you are going to have examples for part 3 of the activity. So I'm going to open the activity that we had worked in the last class. So I'm going to go back to my recent. I had it saved as presentation practice. I'm going to close this one off, and then I'm going to have that split on the other side. All right. So this is what we had done in the last class. I had you guys do the presentation practice. I had you guys observe the presentation practice where we had modified the image, modified text. We looked at looking at the slide master. We had, for example, inserted charts, inserted tables. So let's see how we're able to add a transition. If you guys remember from my first video, we looked at what was a transition versus what was an animation. And we said that a transition is how a slide changes from one to the other. Notice that you have an entire tab dedicated to transitions. If I click on the transition tab, it shows me different ways that my slide can transition. If I go to the slideshow pane and I click on start from the beginning, notice that as one slide changes to the next, it's basically just bland and there isn't much effect there. So we want to add a little bit of life to our presentation by changing the way the transition appears. Now you have to keep in mind your audience when you're looking at these transitions, because you don't want to do certain transitions for a group of audience that would be more reserved as compared to transitions used for maybe entertaining kids. Now if I click on the drop down tool in the transition pane, I'm able to see different types of transitions that I can use. For instance, a popular one is the honeycomb effect. You will see, for example, when the slide appears, it's looking as if though a honeycomb is opening up. We also are able to apply this to all slides. So as we click on the slideshow and start it from the beginning, notice that you would have the honeycomb effect appearing on each particular slide that we have in this presentation. Now notice just now it appeared kind of slow. So what can you do to change the speed of your transition? Notice we have here the timing effect, and you can have that your slide advance when you click on the mouse, or you can set it to a particular time. Maybe you want it to advance every 30 or 35 seconds. You can change that here. Notice you can also say how long the transition takes. For instance, this is taking almost 5 seconds before the transition appears. I can bring this down. Maybe I want it to appear in 1 second. Apply to all again. Slideshow from the beginning. And notice the effects are coming in faster as you're changing from one slide to the next, but still having the same design. So that is how we're able to edit the transitions and apply transitions to our PowerPoint presentation. Now, aside from adding transition, which is the way one slide changes to the other, we can also edit the way different fonts, different images appear or move within your PowerPoint presentation. It says that slide animation is the most common type of animation effect, which would be including entrances and exits. All right. Now, where do you go to insert an animation? All right. I'm going to use this particular image that I have here. I'm clicking on the image. I'm then going to click on the animations tab. All right. Now, I usually advise students that once you're in the animations tab, to click on the animation pane. And the animation pane gives you a layout as to the different slides, the different animation, and how they appear in your document. So for instance, here I'm able to click add animation, and like we said, the most common ones are entrances and exits. For instance, I may want an entrance where it flies in. All right, and notice when I add that particular animation, it then appears in my animation pane. And then clicking on the drop down arrow, I can say whether I want to click whether I wanted to start when I click on the slide, I wanted to start when the slide appears, or start after maybe a previous animation that I have on my slide. All right. Now we are also looking at the animation pane, and in the animation pane you get the different effect options. All right. So if I have this particular animation, I can say that I want to come up from the bottom, I want it to come up from the bottom left, I want it to come up from the left, from the top left, sorry, and the different angles that I can have this particular effect coming in. All right. And again, similarly, if you look at the timing, you can see how long the particular animation takes. This particular animation takes 0.5 of a second to appear. Now, aside from looking at animations, we can also look at how we're able to rearrange slides. Now, I'm going to close up the animation pane because my screen is pretty small. I want that out of the way. And I want to look at how we can rearrange slides. It says to move a slide, which is an individual slide, click on the slide thumbnail and in the left column. All right, and you're able to drag them around. Maybe I want this particular slide that has the tables and the charts to come first. I can always take my mouse and drag it to the top, and notice it then has switched positions. Now if I want to do that for multiple slides, what I would have to do is select my first slide, then I'm going to press and hold the shift key so I can select multiple slides, and then I can move those slides around. All right. So at this point, I've moved all 3 slides to the top of my presentation. And again, I can select the presentation that I want or the slide that I want to place back at the top of my presentation. So that is how you rearrange slides. Next, we want to look at how we are able to preview a presentation. Now, I've done this several times. If you guys had noticed, when I want to show you a particular effect, the transition effect or the animation effect. How do you preview a presentation? All right. Now, if you're in a presentation like I am, a shortcut key, like it says here, is your F5 key. If you look on your keyboard and you press F5, you should be able to see your presentation starting from the beginning. All right. Now, aside from using the shortcut key, you can go to the slideshow tab, and then you can choose whether you want it to start from the beginning. All right, such as that, or maybe you're at this particular slide and you can select from current slide. All right, and it's going to start the presentation from the point that you have selected on the slide pane. All right. Next, we want to look at this view slide versus outlines. Notice if I'm in my slide pane, I can see thumbnails of my presentation. Now, right next to the slide pane, notice there's another option that you can select, which is called outline. And when you look at the outline view, you're able to see an outline of basically what is in your presentation. If I had text in this presentation, I would be able to see whatever text I had under each slide. Notice right now the only text that I have is the words which appear as the title of my slides. So that is what's going to appear in my That's what's going to appear when I'm looking at the outline. It says here the default view is your slides, like we said, of course, but you can always change to go over to your outline view to show outline of whatever notes you have on your presentation. Next, you want to look at how we're able to print handouts. It says, for instance, now this one I won't be expecting you guys to do because I don't want you guys to be printing these presentations, but just so you know what to do, it says for you to print a handout, for example, like the ones I've given you on PowerPoint, on Excel, and Microsoft Word, you're able to click on File, of course, and then you're going to click on Print. All right. Now, when you're in this particular view, you can change, for instance, how you want your print to come out. For example, do you want it to appear in color? Do you want it to look grayscale? Do you want it to be pure black and white? All right. Now, aside from looking at that, do you want to print one page per slide? Do you want to show the slides along with any notes if there are available notes? Do you want to show just an outline of your presentation? Maybe you don't want them to see you don't want to print out the entire thumbnail. You can also just print the outline. You can, for example, have 2 slides appearing on your document. You can have 6 slides appearing on your PowerPoint. Now, notice I only have 4. That's why only 4 is appearing. All right. And you can also change the orientation it appears. Normally by default, it will be in portrait orientation, but you can also change orientation to be in landscape. Now I usually prefer landscape because of the dimensions of the slides themselves. The thumbnails are usually landscape oriented, and so they look better on, for me personally, printed on a landscape view. But again, that's just my view. All right, that's just my perspective. Next, you can use the auto fit to change text size. All right. Now, if I'm on a particular slide and I have too much content on a slide, all right. For example, if I'm down here and I click on new slide and I have a whole bunch of content on this particular slide, what Microsoft PowerPoint does is that it automatically auto fit. And like the name says, it automatically fits whatever is the content into the text box. It says by default, text in the placeholder boxes on a slide layout are set to autofit. This means that if you type more text than will fit, your text will automatically get smaller so it will fit into the placeholder box. If you then delete some of the text so that there is more room available, the text once again enlarges to its default size. You can change autofit setting for a text box or placeholder as needed. All right. All right, an example that I want to give you guys here is, notice if I'm typing regularly here, jump, jump. The size that is appearing by default is size 28 because that allows it to fit into the slide pane that I have here. But if I add more text and then even more text, notice the text becomes smaller. Now it's gone down to a size 20. And the more text that I add, the text size becomes smaller because what it's doing is it's allowing an auto fit to be done, which allows the text to fit within the PowerPoint presentation. And to allow that to happen, it makes the text either larger or smaller. Notice as I remove text, for instance, the text size goes back up. All right. So that's what we mean by changing the autos or using AutoFit to change text size. All right. Very neat tool by Microsoft PowerPoint. Now, one of the next things that we want to look at is how to add a bulleted list. All right. Now, bullets, as we know from Microsoft Words, are either dots, arrows, circles, diamonds, or any other graphic that appears before a short phrase or word. A bulleted list is a set of paragraphs, 2 or more, that each starts with a bulleted symbol. Bullets lists are the most popular way to present items on your PowerPoint presentation. Notice by default, without me even selecting a bullet, this particular slide inserted a bullet for me. It says, if you want to, however, change a bullet or add a bullet to your document, you select the text that you want to place in a number order. Go to the paragraph tool group on the Home tab, just like we would in Microsoft Word. Select the bullets button and then select the type of bullet you want to use. For instance, if I want to add a different bullet here, I can select this particular sentence on the Home tab, and then I'm going to go down to the bullets group and I can choose a bullet design that I have here. This particular bullet that I have here, I can also go back and change that design as well. All right. Now that ties hand in hand with adding a numbering to your document. The only difference is instead of adding a bullet, you're now going to add a numbered list. For example, each paragraph that I have here, for instance, the final 3 paragraphs, I may want them to be numbered. So I'm going to go back to the Home tab, click on the numbering group, and choose the numbering style that I want from my document. And that is how you create a numbered list. So aside from adding bullets and numbering, let's do a brief recap of what we learned today. What we had done was how to create transitions, and we also tied that into how to create animations. We looked at how to rearrange slides. We looked at the preview of your presentation to go to your slideshow view, either starting from your current slide position or starting from the beginning. We looked at the two common views, your slide view and your outline view. Remember, your slide view will give you thumbnails, whereas your outline will just give you notes that you have on your presentation. We looked at how we're able to print handouts. We looked at how AutoFit affects our document. And we also looked at how we're able to create a numbering and bulleted list. All right. Now this is the end of our tutorial on Microsoft PowerPoint for today. On Thursday, please look out for an activity and a short quiz based on the information that we covered today. Thank you guys and have an awesome week.